I'm going to look at a problem here that asks us to get the regression equation, asks us to get a scatter plot with a regression line. This is from a little practice test on a textbook I've used from Pearson. Pearson's the publisher of the textbook. They've got a lot of good practice problems, and it's easy for me to pull one of these up. I realize that students watch this from all over the country and the world, and they might have raw data, whatever. It's just easier for me to show you one of these. Like here, they have a icon to give me the actual data. It's calories versus sugar. And I can copy this into Excel. If your textbook, if you're doing this by hand or typing it in, realize you could just type the data in. But here I'm going to open this up in Excel, and we're going to do the regression equation, get a scatter plot, and make some predictions. Now I've got this in Excel. With the particular program I was using, I could just open it in Excel. But let's say you had to type it in. That's fine. My calories X, sugar Y, I've typed it in. What we want to do is make a scatter plot, and I'm going to click on where it says calories and drag down to the bottom right hand corner. Then in Excel I'm going to go up to Insert. I'm going to say Recommended Charts. I'm going to do this scatter plot, and it gives me a nice little scatter plot. But I want the regression equation. In Microsoft 2013, it has something called Quick Layout right here. You go down and you pick the one with fx on it. In other words, it gives you the function. It gives you the regression equation. If you're using an earlier version of Excel, it'll still do it for you. It's just located in a different place. I'm going to get rid of the legend over here just because it bothers me. So now I have the equation, I have the plot. So let me just do this for you. Let's type this in. X was calories. You realize in Excel you can do this. Type calories. Sugar was Y. The title, I'm just going to call it. You don't have to do this if you're doing a homework problem. I'm just doing it so you'll see what we have going on. This is X versus Y. Calories versus sugar. So now I've got this scatter plot with a regression line. So if one of your questions, if you have to graph it or you have to compare graphs, always take a look and say, ooh, this looks like it might be it. In other words, when they give you choices, the things that I do is I look and I say, okay, I got 2 above, 1 below there if I'm comparing choices. Here I got 4 stacked. 2 above, 1 on the line, 1 below. So if you're comparing choices, that's a good way. Here's my regression equation. Now, I'm going to type it over here. I'm just going to type it right. I'm going to call this text. I'm going to format cells and call it text. See if it'll let me do that. The reason I'm doing this is just so I can make it larger and you can see it. Y equals 0.188 times X minus 21.788. And I'm doing that just so I can enlarge this. So you can see that is my regression equation. Now, if they wanted you to round that to 2 decimal places or whatever, this would be 0.19 times X minus 21.79. And sometimes you have to be really careful because in your blanks you'll have to put, remember that's a negative sign. So if it's plus something, you'd have to say plus negative 21.79 or whatever. Let's make some predictions. I think in this practice question we were doing, let me check this. They wanted us to predict the Y value for an X. Let me write these down here. X of 160, 90, 175, and 208. I'm going to center these up. I'm going to say center. Okay, let's put these in bold. Now, I'm going to put a Y out here. First, I'm going to look at these 160, 90, 175, 208. Here are my X values. They go from 150, it looks like, up to 210. That 90, we can't do that because that 90 is out of the range. So I'm going to tell you right now that this 90, we cannot do this because it's not meaningful. Not meaningful, meaningful. Outside the range of the original data. Way outside. Let's see if it'll let me do this here. Now, way outside. But I can do these others. Let me show you how easy it is to do. You could do these on a calculator. But I would just do them in Excel. In other words, right here for 160, this equals it equals 0.188. I'm getting that from right here. Times in Excel is an asterisk sign, times that 160 minus 21.788. Boom. My prediction is 8.292. Rounded to 2 decimal places would be 8.29. And if I want to do it for 175, watch. I can just do a Control-C, which is a copy, paste. Boom. For 175, I predict 11.112. For 208, I can just paste again. Well, I got a copy. Control-C, paste. For 208, it would be 17.316. But notice 160, 175, and 208 are all within this range. So I can use this equation to predict. However, 90 is not. It's way outside the range of the original data. Easy problems to do in Excel.